Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Let's Taste with the Intrepid Wino. My name is James Scaresbook. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you to the amazing people at Mosswood for very kindly submitting some samples for me to look at their wines today. I am looking at two wines. They are from the Vale Vineyard. They both have, if you can make out the sticker on the front of the bottle, a recommended retail price of $65, so more premium in nature. They're both 2015 wines, and they are the two vastly more important varieties in terms of Bordeaux, Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon, and therefore two of the most important varieties for the Margaret River, where Mosswood is based. Of course, Mosswood is one of the original commercial wineries and vineyards in the region, and Margaret River is one of the premier regions for Cabernet and Cabernet blends in Australia. So I have looked at some Mosswood wines in the past, across the range, across multiple varieties, and their 2014 Cabernet Sauvignon was considered to be one of the best from that vintage. So I'm excited to have a look at some of their 2015 wines. So without further ado, let's start off with the 2015 Vale Vineyard Merlot from Mosswood. Lovely and bright, darker colour in the glass, but not super, concentrated and intense. There is kind of a little bit of light coming through there. Quite pretty, sort of purpley colour. Quite subtle, not really showing much on the nose. Very elegant, small purple plums, a little bit spicy, a little bit sort of cinnamony, a little bit sort of nutmeg, and maybe even a clove, but these are very subtle aromatics. Sort of a salty vanilla note. I'm not even sure if that's a thing. And just a delicate sort of purpley white floral note. Let's taste. Quite light and fresh, sort of dancing on the palate. Very pretty, very elegant. Nice line through the middle of the palate. Merlot is sort of often referred to as the donut hole as far as Cabernet blends, because it's quite prominent on the mid palate, whereas Cabernet tends to be prominent on the front and the back of the palate, so the Merlot fills that donut hole. But this Merlot is lovely. It actually has kind of presence across the palate, so I'm really happy with that. It's quite subtle. It has good freshness, which is not something you see typically in Merlot. It's certainly not broad. It has nice lines, and there's just the faintest hint of some savoury elements. It's got a nice texture to it without being kind of flabby at all. So $65 is a decent amount of money to spend on a red wine, let alone a Merlot. But I don't think that many people will be disappointed with this. Pretty solid start. So the second wine is the premier, without doubt, variety of Margaret River and Mosswood, Cabernet Sauvignon. So darker, and certainly a little bit more intense, a little more concentrated in the palate. Not as much light coming through. Still quite pretty, but yeah, in that sort of darker purple colour. Still quite subtle on the nose. It's not obvious in any way. A little bit leafy, just like a tiny amount of curry leaf, bay leaf, very subtle. More in that blueberry, black currant, but it's still in that sort of cinnamony kind of realm. Seeing a little bit more oak now, a little bit more of a kind of a cedary character, but you know, slightly more prominent aromatically. Let's taste. Structured, again, not heavy, not kind of really trying to overexert itself. It's not trying to smash you in the face with a load of tannin and alcohol and oak. It's very, very contemplative. It's well balanced. There's sort of subtle intensity, if that's even possible. It's just very long. Like I'm still tasting it in my mouth. I mean, you know, 30 seconds to a minute later. It has a lot of depth of character here. We really are talking about some very serious vines here. They've been there for quite a while, so the roots will go deep in those Margaret River soils and produce some very, very exceptional and kind of potentially long-living wines as well. I like the Mosswood style because, this may be kind of a return to style. I like them because they are exceptionally drinkable now, but they also will benefit from cellaring. They're not the kind of wines that you sort of need to cellar just for them to start to look drinkable. I do appreciate these wines that on release already have you know, very obvious balance to them and don't have, you know, there's too much oak or the tannins are too aggressive and then you have to wait for them. So really, Mosswood continue to just get better and better year on year. I'm mighty impressed. But again, for a customer to spend $65 or more on a bottle of wine, particularly for a variety like Cabernet and Merlot, which there are a lot of examples both in Australia and from overseas, you have to be doing something pretty serious, and Mosswood certainly are. So thank you very much, guys, for donating some samples. It has been a privilege to be able to look at some of the new releases. If you'd like to submit some samples to the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel, please do get in contact with me via the website intrepidwino.com. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button below, leave a comment or a question. I'd love to hear from you. Share the video on social media and make sure you subscribe to the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel. There's lots of videos, lots of tasting videos, lots of videos about my winemaking experiences, so do check out some of the other videos as well. Come and visit me at intrepidwino.com. Lots of content there, including my podcast, the Vincast, and different writing I've done in the past. And I'd love for you to follow me on social media at Intrepid Wino on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. But until next time, cheers.